Good evening, class. My name is Rosella Cangelosi, and I will be presenting to you the competitive advantages of Starbucks. So I think it's important that before we go into how the company is building up their competitive advantage, that we go over some historical dates. So in 1971, the company was created by Jordan Bowker, Zeb Segal, and Jerry Baldwin. Their first location was in Pike's Place in Seattle, Washington. By 1983, the company had a chairman, and his name was Howard Schultz, who was soon to become the CEO of the company. In 1983, Howard decided that he was going to take a trip to Milan, Italy, where he experienced for the first time the coffee house experience. So in Italy, having a cup of coffee with someone is a way of creating a relationship, rather than here in North America, where people just think of coffee as a grab-and-go situation, and there's really not much time to conversate. Howard took this idea and came back to the three owners in 1983 and pitched the idea to them to really build Starbucks on this coffee house experience. The three owners decided that it would be a great idea to take it, and they moved on, and in 1991 they had over 100 stores in North America alone. By 2019, or today, the company has 20,000 stores worldwide, including the continent of Asia and Europe. So the value of a customer. So what does a customer mean to Starbucks? So their mission is to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. And how they do that is simply by engaging the customer. So when you walk into Starbucks, they not only take your order, but they ask you for your name. And by asking you for your name, when your order is ready, they don't confront you and say, number 46, your order is ready. They approach you but on a first name basis by saying, hey, John, your order is ready. They also nurture the customer because when you walk into Starbucks, they have couches and tables with chairs and stools at a bar where people feel like, hey, we can actually stay and hang out here, rather than just being a countertop where they feel like they need to grab and go. This really builds the customer responsiveness in each cafe, which makes the customers feel more at home, which is how they feel valued. So the four building blocks of competitive advantage are innovation, efficiency, quality, and customer responsiveness. Each Starbucks has a way of building these competitive advantages or these building blocks. So the way each Starbucks kind of approaches the situation is they try to create new drinks daily. And each drink needs to be made both efficiently and with great quality ingredients. So they want to make sure that the baristas can turn around and make these drinks quickly. Rather than having 500 mix-ins, they'd have a short amount of time to mix a couple of ingredients together to make an optimal product. And the quality of the ingredients, of course, needs to be at high, which is why customers love Starbucks so much. So, of course, these three aspects play a role in the customer responsiveness. So customers feel like because of the good quality customer service and the good quality of ingredients that they're willing to come back for more. So the company is also built on three distinctive competencies. And those competencies are consistency, location, and employee friendly. So what does that mean? When Starbucks goes to make their drinks, they need to make sure that the same caramel frappuccino that they're making in Hong Kong is the same one that they're making in London. So Starbucks has what we call their bean farms, and those bean farms are located in Costa Rica. Because they're located in Costa Rica, they feel like building their bean farms on high altitude mountains where there are cold nights but warm days create a bolder bean. And because they have a bolder bean, the coffee, as a result, is smoother and more robust, which is really what makes Starbucks the coffee house that they are. They also build upon location. So if you notice, there won't be a Starbucks right next to another Starbucks. So the reason for that is Starbucks is a franchise. So they don't want to create internal conflict between their franchisees. They want there to be enough space so each franchise can really grow as their own location and really hit their goals, which in fact does help the company in the grand spectrum of things. Their last competency is employee friendly. So they want to make sure that their employees aren't just going to be there for a summer, but they're going to be there for a long period of time. So they provide each employee with an opportunity for growth or a career path. So each one feels like they can stay for a while, and they're more willing, and their morale in the store is the highest it can possibly be, which is why they feel so great coming into work. So although this may sound great, the company was not doing good this whole time. In 2005, the CEO decided that he was going to step down, and he was going to hand it over to the head of North American stores, Mr. Jim Donald. So at the time of Jim's office, the store went from having 5,000 locations to having 15,000 locations, both storefront and in different supermarkets and malls and things of the sort. So although that may sound great, the company is actually not doing well because of that. So by having so many stores, their quality and their efficiency of their baristas fell. So because they were creating so many different stores, they were just hiring people left and right, and people weren't properly trained. So Howard at the time was the chairman, and he really didn't have an impact on decisions. So by 2008, when the financial crisis came along, Howard decided it was his time to step up again. So Jim Donald was fired effective immediately, and Howard became the CEO again. Once he became CEO, he put in the time for about 7,100 stores to close for about 3.5 hours just to retrain their baristas on how to make the proper drinks. At that time, the company lost about $6 million because of the closing. But that was nothing to Howard because he knew that in order for him to build up the company again, he had to re-instruct their baristas on how to make the right drinks. The other thing that he did was he reached out to other purveyors or other consultants to see how they would try to build up the company again, which shows what a humble and charismatic leader he really is. So where's Starbucks at today? The Starbucks today is at a 9% high in terms of net revenue. And the company's sales are also up by 4%. So if you look at the grand section of things, 20,000 stores being up is a great thing, especially at a 4%. The stock price is also up by 67%, at $67, forgive me, which is a 4% increase. And the profitability, or the return on invested capital, is up in 2018 to 28%. So during the financial crisis, or between 2005 and 2008, the company's ROIC was at 21% and fell to 8%, which is a big drop. That meant that the company's profitability, or their ability to turn capital into profit, decreased. So having it to be up to 28% by 2018 was a great thing. And the even better thing is the company knows that by 2019 they're forecasted to be at 52%. So what was not ethical about this whole entire case study? So if you read the case study, it really looked into the fact that the company was not doing well. And that's because of the 2005 decision of Howard to step down. So I think at the time, Howard must have thought that it was okay not to train Jim because the company was doing so well that nothing could possibly go wrong, which in fact was not true. His decision to step down was a horrible decision and negatively impacted the company. As a result, they've been trying to pick up since. But by not training Jim, Howard threw off the company. And although he was the chairman, he didn't really show that he cared so much because he wasn't really involved in any of the decisions. You can also see that in the case study, it points out that the company decreased not only in value, but in customer morale. So a lot of the shareholders decided that they were going to leave when Jim became the CEO, and that's because they didn't know Jim. They didn't trust Jim. They had a relationship with Howard because Howard's the one that started it from the beginning. So once Howard decided to become the CEO again, the stock jumped up, which shows that Howard kind of held a lot of the social responsibility in his hands. And he felt like he was part of the company and he was who the company was. So I think it was very unethical of him to step down, especially without training Jim. He kind of set him up for failure. Maybe he thought that as the chairman, he could really do something about it, but in fact, he could not. So that kind of take on things was not a good idea. Although this may all sound bad, the company is doing great and does look forward to increasing in value in 2019. Thank you so much and have a great day.